how you doing? Damian Keys here. Welcome to the hashtag Ask Damo Show, episode number 10. With us, as always, ill on the wheels of steel is at Morgan M. James.
Hello guys.
You are not well. So
I am well.
You are not well.
Well enough to work.
Brilliant. We've got stuff. Look at this. Check this out. We've got some good parcels. People are starting to get onto this promo train, realizing that you can get your stuff featured, which is what we're here for. But this one has been sent from a long way away. I think it's actually from Florida, although my geography is terrible. But Stefan Rogenmosser, what an amazing name. So luckily I've got a knife. Let's try not to, try not to kill myself. Oh wow, this is wrapped. Let's do this. Coming at ya. All right, so if you want to send your stuff in so we can promo your stuff, then the address is 30 Brunswick Street East, Hove, BN31AU. We'll also put that on the thingy below. Steph and Paul and the Electric Splash, love this. Haley's Comet 86, never sleep. I will be listening to this. I have to find a CD player, still have to do that. But well done, sir. Thank you for sending this in and paying for the import tax from your country as well, which is amazing. But I'm going to make sure everyone knows about this. I'll be putting some stuff on the old Instagram later for that. Oh, I've got a Christmas card. Love it. Oh, everyone see that? That's in the Fury. Ah, thanks for the inspiration. That's lovely. That's fantastic. I just wanted to say a massive thank you for your support and inspiration this year. I've really enjoyed reading the Rule Breakers Guide. It's the book. It's my book. And I'm glad that the Ask Damo Show is back. Have an amazing Christmas. And I look forward to following you in the new year. Merry Christmas. Craig from Zazu. Thank you so much, Craig. That will be going up. That's amazing. Loving this. What else we got? I would make you read, but you're ill, so you open that. Oh, okay. We've got two. See what's in that one. Hey Damo, it's Galen. Galen Stapley, you guitar warrior. Galen is a phenomenal guitarist. If you want to check out Galen Stapley, just put in Galen Stapley into YouTube and watch that guy shred on guitar. The guy is masterful. He's amazing. And this will be his band, which is called Azure, which is amazing. So again, Galen, thank you so much for that. That's brilliant. Just thought I'd send you my band CD for the Ask Damo Show intro. I'd send you a shirt too, but we're out of stock. That's how many they've sold. Another one. Look at that one. Fantastic. Brilliant. If you've ever got a spare minute, I'd love to catch up for a coffee. Galen, I absolutely will. You live in Brighton. I live in Brighton. I like tea. Let's go do this. Thank you so much. And last one before we get on with the show is from Lee Baxter. Oh, Lee, thank you so much. We were actually listening to this yesterday in the office. Well done to you, sir. Congratulations on the album. Brilliant. Thanks again for doing this. All the best, Lee Baxter. Oh, and we love Christmas. In Christmas, brilliant. Everything's good.
Are you ready for the
I was born ready.
Okay, here we go. Hi, Damian. Have you got any advice for festival slots or support slots? This summer I was lucky enough to support Paloma Faith plus Tom O'Dell, but how do I capitalise and get more? And that's from @Yazzie_music.
Good. Now, for anyone who couldn't understand Morgan because he's ill, I'll just go through that question again. He basically said, any advice for getting festival slots or support slots? And that's from Yazzie. So she did some supporting of Tom O'Dell and Paloma Faith. That's amazing. So how do we capitalize on that? How do we move forward? And there's a lot of people who are asking about getting onto festivals because everybody wants that big gig. And there's two aspects. There's two parts to this question, two answers. Number one, there's the technical aspect. The technical aspect is going to be, how do you actually get the attention of people who are putting on festivals? Well, if you are the right fit for the festival, and I would say that if you are the right fit for the festival, then the way to do it is usually on the page of the festival, there will be one part of that website, a page on the website where you can submit your application for playing on a festival. It can literally be as simple as that. Obviously, if we're talking about Reading Festival or the Isle of Wight, there might not be that page, but with a lot of festivals, they have that bit. So technically, it's quite easy. But let me ask you the first part of this question before the technical bit, which is, are you set up to play festivals? This is the bit that most bands negate. Everybody wants to jump up to festivals, but playing a festival is very, very different from playing a club or a pub or a standard venue. And people who are putting on gigs at festivals, they know this. They know that when they put on a festival, they are putting on a certain type of show to try and attract people to their festival. So most bands aren't looking at, are we good enough to play the festival? What they're actually looking at is, what's the technical spec to get on the festival? Are you going to bring people to the festival? The usual age-old thing. Promoters always want to know what's in it for them. But also, taking away the numbers of it, are you going to put an absolute killer show on? Now, everyone's nodding at the camera going, yeah, of course I am. We're going to do an amazing show. We're perfect for this. Well, if you are, you've got to prove it. You've got to put your EPK together. You've got to put your video together to prove that on stage you are going to absolutely tear it up, that you are the right fit. Because again, there's this many bands wanting to do that festival and they're going to pick this many. So if you are, how are you going to jump the queue? Or how are you going to, more importantly, not jump the queue? How are you going to prove to people that you are within that 10%? And the biggest part of that is, if you are good enough, you've got to show it. So there will usually, on a website, there will usually be an application and they will ask for a certain amount of things to come through. A video will probably be one of them. If they ask for 3 demos, don't send 10, don't send your album. If they ask for 1 track, don't send 3. Just send them what they need. The people who are putting these festivals on, they know what they want. They've asked for it specifically. They're not asking for 10 times more than it, just as a test. But what you do need is, you do need a video to say, this is the reason, this is the reason why you should have us on this festival. And they can look at what the band looks like, what it performs like, how the tracks are coming across, what the audience is thinking about it. If you've got that, you should have, if you haven't got that, you need to think about how you're going to put that into a video. If with your Tom O'Dell and the Paloma Faith, if any of you guys have actually done some really good gigs and you haven't capitalized by actually getting a lot of footage from the gigs, you kind of missed out. So it's not about doing something, it's about what you can then get from that thing. And so in order to do that, video is the best, it's the best proof. You can actually physically show that you're there, not just from a picture to say I was there, but you can see what the atmosphere was like, what the crowd was like, what it looks like. And the person watching it is allowed to put themselves into the position of someone in the crowd and think to themselves, is this what I want to see at my festival? Because it's their festival and they're spending a lot of money on putting this on. So they want the best for their festival. So the question of the answer for that question for me is, are you set up to play festivals? Everybody wants to play the next level up. If you play a pub, you want to play a club. If you're playing clubs, you want to play sports halls. If you're playing sports halls, you want to play arenas. If you're playing arenas, you want to play stadiums. But there's a reason why you jump up. The reason is because you can, because you're good enough, because you can prove that you can get to that level. That's your job, is to prove that you can take something from a smaller level to a bigger level. And if you can do that, if you've done it once, then you show everyone, and that's how you start to get more gigs. And you start bouncing between the smaller and the bigger until effectively you take that jump, and then you carry on going up and down again. So up to you to prove to everyone that you are good enough to actually be able to do this.
What a great answer, David.
Thanks, ill guy.
Ill guy. Right, are you ready for question number 2? Okay, question number 2 is, how do I promote my songs to people without seeming pushy? And that's from @reddraps_.
And this question came up 2 or 3 times. Cough, cough.
Sorry.
It's all right. This question came up 2 or 3 times with this word pushy, which I find really, really interesting, because pushy for me is subjective. Like, just because you're in front of someone a lot, that's not pushy. That's just putting yourself in front of someone. If you're pushy, that's you trying to force someone to do something that they're not really comfortable doing. So this to me is a subjective thing, but I personally don't think musicians, because musicians don't think so much about the marketing as they should, I don't think musicians realize how far you go before someone on the receiving end will go, oh, right, for God's sake, stop. And usually if they do, it isn't for me, pushy, usually it's lack of quality. And I think those are two different things. So for example, if you think about your favorite artist, if they popped up on their Facebook and say, hey, new thing we're going to do something every single day on Instagram. We're going to do something every single day on Facebook, and we're going to do something every single day on YouTube. Your favorite artist, you'd be like, brilliant, I'm up for that. I'll watch ones that I want to watch. I might miss a couple, but I'm there. I'm going to do this. Now, if after a week of doing that, you were like, God, this is awful. They're my favorite artist, but this is terrible. That is one issue. That is you saying, I don't want to watch this anymore because all they're doing is going, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. At which point you go, oh, no, I'm not up for that. To me, that's just overselling. That's pushing the sale. Whereas if they're just there bringing value, and whilst they're there, they're promoting something, then that to me is not pushy. So I think it's the way you go about this, but I really don't think musicians understand how much content is now needed to get out there because of this algorithm change, because of the amount of people out there, the amount of noise. Just because you see what you're doing every single day, it absolutely by no means means that your audience is seeing even 10% of it. I know with my audience, I've got, say there's 8,000 on YouTube, I know that, and there's 20 odd thousand on Facebook, and there's 10,000 on Instagram. So let's say this with Twitter and everything, let's say there's 50,000 people who or accounts that follow my stuff across all platforms. It's probably been seen by 10 to 20% per week. And each piece of content is probably only being seen by 10 to 20% of that 10 to 20%. So it's up to me to keep putting the content out. And yes, out of 10 people, one person might really be a super fan and really following everything that you do. And so therefore they might see all of your stuff, but most people won't. Most people won't see it. Most people won't see any of it, let alone all of it. So it's very difficult to be pushy. The only thing you can do is take away all value and just sit in front of a camera or put pictures out or put adverts out just saying, buy this, buy this, buy this, do this, demand, demand, demand. So when someone hasn't seen you for a month and then thinks about you and goes, well, I'll go and check out your stuff. And then all of a sudden, there's no value for them. All they've seen is you go and do this, do this, do this. To me, that's not pushy. That's just bad selling, really. That's just lack of value. But in order to actually put too much content out there, good content out there for people to get annoyed with, very difficult because of the algorithm change. Very, very difficult. So I wouldn't worry about that. For me, it's all about how you can make great content. Good cough. And on that cough,
we've got a live reply to your question.
I'm loving this. Do you know what this is? Social media, baby.
Gringo Matt has said, if a band aren't being pushy, then they clearly don't want it enough. Keep going until someone says, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah, just keep putting stuff out there. And again, it does come to that word value. That's the bit, If you're pushing out value, if you're putting out content, and don't forget the other thing is, if you feel like you're doing the same thing again and again and again, change it up. Everybody watching this who's a musician or a creative, there's the crux of it. You're a creative. You are creating something. So if you do the same thing again and again and again, change it up. That's the best thing. We can do that. We can do audio, we can do video, we can do pictures, we can do questions, we can do answers, we can do live streams. There's so many things that we can do. So just start changing it up and the audience will value all of the creativity and the change that's there.
Wicked. Right, question number 3.
Yes. You are so ill.
I'm a little bit ill. Question number 3.
Yes.
I watched your video on the up-and-coming recession this week. How do you think the recession plus Brexit will affect original bands plus touring? And that's from Billy Swanflip.
Okay. Ooh, the recession. I made a video this week about the recession based on having been through 2 recessions. If you want to see that recession video, then it's here, or Morgan will put it below. But it's on my YouTube. And I'm not saying we're not in a recession. I'm not saying there's definitely a recession coming. I think there is one coming. There's a lot of talk about it, and the reason for that is because of uncertainty with things like in UK, in this country, Brexit. No one has a clue what's going on or what's about to happen. And in other countries, there's also some other uncertainty. There's some stuff in America with some trade agreements and a few other bits and bobs. Everyone's panicking over there a little bit as well. And so this bubble's been growing and growing and growing. We've taken the interest rates down. And where does it go from here? Well, possibly, not scaremongering, and I'm not a politician, so don't shout at me for talking politics, possibly a recession. I made a video on what to do just in case, if it happens, what to do in a recession, having been through it twice. It's quite scary. Now, what does that mean then, as opposed to making money, what does that mean then, the question is, for originals bands and for touring, especially with Brexit, because Britain coming out of the EU, what does that mean for touring across in other countries and even selling stuff? Well, the answer to that right now is, at this moment in time, which is, what's the date, Morgan? Wednesday
it's Wednesday
14th?
the 12th.
12th, I'm getting ahead of myself, the 12th of December. Right now, this is a really difficult one because nobody's got a clue what is going on. So once a month, every Thursday, first Thursday, I go for a meeting with a bunch of entrepreneurs, very successful guys, amazing people, very inspirational. I went on Thursday and we were chatting, we had our 2-hour breakfast, we had our meeting, we were talking about things, and then obviously Brexit got mentioned several times, and I just said, I know we've mentioned it a lot, but what are everyone's feelings with Brexit? Where do we think it's going to land? These are very successful people who have been through this a bunch of times, who know their stuff, and all of us were stumped. We were all like, the problem is nobody knows. Nobody knows what we're going to get. Nobody knows what we even should get anymore. Nobody knows whether we're going to get another referendum. Nobody knows whether we're going to get a hard Brexit, or if that's forced upon us, or a soft Brexit, or some kind of other option, which there are a couple of other options, but we have to leave in order to try and get that, like the Norway style thing. I don't want to get too heavily into politics because I'm not an expert and I don't want you to start firing questions at me, but nobody knows. So right now, it's business as usual for originals bands. And what I would say is, before we start worrying about going and touring over in Europe, have you done everything you can to maximize what you have got in this country and what you are doing on social media? Because everyone does this thing where they start worrying. Article 13's coming along. Oh, we're not going to have YouTube anymore. Well, hang on, we've got it now. Now's the time to maximize it. Brexit's going to come along, that's going to break everything. Well, it hasn't happened yet, and even if it does, it's going to take a couple of years to sort the whole thing out. So what are we doing right now? Stop worrying about a year or 2 years' time and look at what's happening now, because I can tell you in 6 months' time, or even nine months ago, we were not expecting the algorithm change to hit us as hard as it did. It did, it changed the game. Right now, it's the same thing. Brexit could happen, there could be a recession, there could be something else, but what's really, really important is we look at what we can do right now, which is building and looking after an audience online, and how we can then build our brand and communicate with people so that should we want to go on tour, we have got almost like a feeler where we can say, look, if we are going to pay that extra money, because touring costs will go up if we come out of Brexit, touring costs will go up in Europe. So if it does go up, then how will that affect us? Will we be able to get bums on seats? Will we be able to get out there? What does that mean? Well, what it means is you absolutely need to make sure that you're getting people to come to your gig and buy your merch, etc., etc. So before we start worrying about that, what I would say is let's calm things down. We don't know what's about to happen, but we do know what's in front of us right now. And I think that is really, really important. So what I'm doing is I'm going all in. Until something stops me or something breaks, I'm talking to the guys about how we can make more content, how we can break that content down, how we can actually get more and more stuff out there, put money into advertising, all of that stuff in order to make sure that if it gets taken away, I'm ahead of the game, if that makes sense. So worry about now with one eye on what's coming. But I would say with the recession, just, watch that video, batten down the hatches, get ready, because we don't know whether it's going to be a week, a month, a year, or 18 months, or 5 years, but I can promise you it will come eventually.
Right, and the final question. Hey Damian, where do you think social media will be in 2019? Plus, do you think reach will improve, or bands will abandon socials? And that is from Sarah Blackwood.
Ooh, there's one. Will bands abandon socials? It's a really good question. Will bands abandon socials? I think some of them will. Should they? No, it's a terrible, terrible idea. Where will social media be in 2019? Well, we're about to hit the new year. I can tell you from having a social media company, from doing this social stuff all day. I can tell you where I think social media is at right now and where it will be over the next 6 to 9 months. And things may change at any point. But we are in a strange place for social media because of where it's come from, how fast it's changed, the algorithm, and the noise that's there, and the noise that everyone's doing it. We are now smack bang in the middle of what I'm seeing most people doing. So we have had 5 or 6 years of people making lots of content and being able to organically grow via hashtags and other means. Then what happened is you've got other bigger companies who've always had the ability to advertise and put a bit of money into their product. And we are now smack bang in between the two, because if you are thinking that you, and there are plenty of companies that will do this, which will just advertise. They will take your money, they will advertise your product, get you through to your offer on your website, sell, 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 sell. It works, it absolutely works. But long term, I think we're creating a problem. Then you've got the organic content side. This is the proof. This is the bit where people are really buying into you, buying into your brand, buying into your product, buying into your band. But they've got to be able to see it. And at the moment, that bit's been taken away from us. So if you do one without the other at the moment, you're in a pickle. So it needs to be both. I don't think bands realize how much content they need to be actually making to cut through the noise. I don't think bands realize how much quality needs to go into the content to cut through the noise. And I also don't think bands are prepared to put in enough money into it to actually get the great content that they're doing out to people. And I think we're on this kind of seesaw at the moment. And I think the answer is you need to be putting more time into your content. I just think whilst people are looking at the screen going, I haven't got any more time, I haven't got any more money. Okay, that's fine. But when people overtake you, don't get bitter about it, because this is the game. This is the game that we are in. So effectively, the ball is in your court. For me, the thing you need to be doing is you need to be making more content and better content. You need to figure out how you're going to up your game and make more of it. Once you've done that, people need to see it. At the moment, it's money. You know, there's game about how much organic reach can you get? Oh, we got an extra 5% this month. It's small time, and there's nothing wrong with making something fantastic and putting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 quid or 500 grand or whatever you can afford into something so the world sees it and buys into the proof of what it is you're doing. That's what's going to happen in 2019. People are going to start waking up that it's very, very noisy, more noisy than it's ever been. So you've got to be better, stat. You've got to do more, stat, and you've got to find budget as well as that to advertise or to push out the stuff that you're doing. We are about to go into a tougher part. The strong will survive and everyone else will back off, and they'll just have smaller audiences and either get bitter or, like you said, will they leave? Probably. And then at some point, this is not forever, what will happen at some point is always the way, a new platform will arrive and it will be a race, and everyone will try and jump on it, and it'll come along because of the changes. You know, we nearly had Vero. People are a little bit annoyed with the algorithm, and that doesn't include marketers, that includes everyone. That at some point probably will change into an anti-algorithm social media, possibly, because if you think about it, it's always yin and yang. It goes so far one way, and then people say this is too much, and they jump onto something else, and then it might go back the other way. But that hasn't happened. So in 2019, until further notice, you need to be doing more content. You need to be thinking how you can improve your content. Christmas is coming. Buy a better camera, buy a better phone, or get a better phone, or start to think about how you can actually get this content to be slightly better than everyone else's, more of it. But you are going to need to put some money into it, and you need to learn how to do that pronto. Any questions, give us a shout. Any more, like, subscribe, usual shit. Hit us up in DMs. Most importantly, come and be a part of this community. If you've got any friends or musicians that you can share any of my stuff with to help them out, to help me out, everyone's a winner. Let's grow this community and help bands who need help get to where they want to go. Thanks very much for watching. See you next week.